Welcome to the latest Bitcoin review. I'm Eric, and we're going to be talking, preferably briefly, about Bitcoin setup. There's not too much to talk about, but I want to interject some of the comments I've seen on social media. Here's one of them. Posted the energy chart for Bitcoin, and someone talked about how it was a position that they held, but they got out too quick. That's a common trait within trading. You don't follow your discipline, you don't follow the evolution of the trade, which is something that I talk about specifically, so I can't add anything about what this individual is doing. But the point is that we're going to stick to the evolution of the trade. Further details about the evolution of the trade can be found inside the blog. I suggest a complete review of it as best as I can describe it. These are my concepts that I've used over the time that I've been trading, which is quite some time now, since about 95. I've been following markets, studying them, and learning. And this is a part of it. There's computers are obviously well a part of my trading dynamics, but this incorporates them all. So I would go through and read as much as you can. If you have any questions, contact me. Let's go back up. And from the segment here, we're going to have to get into the matrix. So I'm going to go to free access. The subscription access levels here, you would click that, enter in your code. So if you're a subscriber, go ahead and do that. You'll get the full version. The free matrix evaluation is a restricted access, but it will do for this particular review. You'd hit the cloud link and it would pop up. It's going to pop up and look like this because I don't want to wait for the download, because a lot of people pull into this thing and Google gets slow. You can see Bitcoin's on line 34 or line 38 of this particular array. So we track GBTC. That's the ETF proxy. It's not really a ETF. They won't allow an ETF, but it is Pink Sheets. It's owned by, I don't know who owns it now, Greystone or something. It's getting bigger, obviously, but it does work. If you're on the equity side, you can also trade in the futures market. The CME has a contract. So let's take a look. The first thing I do when I use the matrix is I try and establish the phase. The phase is defined in column B. There is a no writing here, which basically says that we are in the A and O phase, which is the alignment and opportunities phase. Everything else is going to be, I don't have the computer designated because it would make it too cluttered. Visually, too much information blows you away. Otherwise, it would be labeled F, FIP, which is F is flip, FIP is flip in progress, R is reset plus the numbers, which is how many days past a reset it is. The computer will track it until you get past the cyclical mean, and then it will dump it. That's for a reason, so you don't get tempted to chase a reset that's got no room left to run in it. So this is all about trading discipline. Then there's PTD 1 and 2, which is primary trend decline. They're going to be highlighted red, which means stay the heck out, but that is not really Bitcoin. We can talk about that later. So we've identified A and O, which is alignment and opportunities phase. It's essentially like a reset, but Bitcoin is too far away from the reset point to even track anymore. We can see by columns H through J, and I use this quite a bit to establish that the primary trend, because that's the key driver of the evolution of the trade, is 6 and 141%. So it's 6 months old and 141%. Now, people can get spooked by that and say that's a lot of money or big return, and I'm done. But I would not do that. I would keep the core position, because as we look at the monthly primary trend cycle statistics, which is AJ through AS columns, we can see that the price, which is BUS, and time, which is BUST cycles, which are standardized to 0, are still below 0. They're negative, and that tells us that these price performance and cycle times are still very young and still very low. There's a lot of time left in the rally in Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that we are going to get to the mean or well extended beyond the cyclical means. Because if the primary trend flips and this disappears, you close the position. But until then, you let it run. Letting it run is how you make big money. You can think you can trade it and be a day trader, but there's no way. And no way to do that. The primary trend allows you to run, and it should. That's what Warren Buffett does. That's what Jess Livermore did. I mean, just let it run, but don't let it run forever, because when the primary trend flips, we're out. But we can talk about this as Bitcoin evolves. So what's the problem with Bitcoin? Why is there no colorations? And we look at the name column, we can see there's this rising up arrow and expansion, or EXP. So something's not right. And if we look at the daily or tertiary trend columns, which is P through Y, we can see that the daily or price and the daily time cycles are 2.1 and 2.27. Those are above zero, and there lies the problem. And the problem is much greater than just being above zero. They're above essentially 2, which means that the price and time cycles are statistically extended. It means if you've had statistics, basic statistics or advanced, you know that 95% of the observations, the daily impulses prior to this one, were below the performance of the current one in terms of price and time. So if you're deciding to chase Bitcoin, you are not following the evolution of the trade. You are using your gut feel and instincts, and eventually it's going to catch up with you. I mean, you might win this time because the price cycle might go from 2 to 5, which I kind of think it will, and I've talked about this in previously written reviews. But it's not a good play to commit money to it. You just leave your core position here and let it go. But you don't add fresh money. There is no escalation in Bitcoin because of the daily trend statistics. So what else do we have to take a look at? We let the core position ride. We always look at energy, and leverage is columns K through M. And we can see that WA is 69, DI is 64, and DI2 is 26.7. I don't know why the format doesn't also show a percentage, but I'll take a look at that later. But 64% is a statistically significant energy bill. If you go and look inside your matrix and download the cloud link, you can see it's above the critical threshold that generates a bullish energy build. And that's unusual considering that daily statistics here are already extended. And I talked about this in previous written reviews, that the energy is likely going to support continuation, even though people are like, hey, this is a big run and I need to protect myself. I've seen energy builds not materialize, but this one just increases the odds. And what I prefer to see is, and we've talked about this before in other markets, in order to slow and reverse and create a reversal in the daily here that generates a reset over in the phase column, usually a negative energy build forms, and that's minus 60 and all the right combinations. The computer will notify us when a bearish energy build, we call them blocking domes, form, but we don't have a blocking dome. We have the exact opposite. So that, even though the play is no play, the core position is probably going to continue to run. Now, you could reduce some of your core positions or position, nibble down on it or sell down on it if the run goes a lot and takes off. We've reached the price targets, which I've talked about inside previous reviews. 38 is the computer's mean target, geometric target. And I maybe at some point I will talk about those further. I think I don't have geometric targets on here. No, I do not. I have them. I can talk about how they're created and how they're used. The world is not linear. The world is geometric, but again, we're going to probably reach those targets, suggesting by the 64 Di. It's a positive energy bit. We'll see. The play is nothing, but do not be surprised if you have continuation here. So I guess the bottom line through all this, before I wrap this up, and I don't want to extend it too long, is that there is no play in Bitcoin. You cannot add to it within the evolution of the trade. But the energy belt, which is also part of the evolutionary trade, says that it says the odds of continuation are high enough, so I wouldn't go after it. I'm not like plunking more money down to add to my Bitcoin. But if you sold off already, you're probably going to be disappointed by what comes. So that wraps up today's Bitcoin review. If you have any questions, contact me through the blog, and that would be, I think that's in either the about or disclaimers. I don't know. Yeah, no, that's me. And maybe it's in feedback. Feedback. Yeah, you can contact me here. You can also contact me on Twitter, which there's my handle up there. And, check it pretty frequently. So, and we can have a conversation about anything you want to, provided it doesn't cross the line and go into the subscriber content of which. But that's about it. This is the end. The end of this review. Keep them short. We can talk about anything else. If you want me to go over some other markets, let me know. Silver's, popping up. If we go back into the evaluation here, you can see the markets that I like. They're not markets I like. It's the markets the computer like. Anything that's green, you're gonna like. Corn. Oops, went too far. Financials. See, they're all 2. And then you go up here, and anything that's highlighted yellow are 1s. And those are flips in progress, FIPs, and those are all possibilities, but we're not talking about those. We'll go over them. So have a good day, everyone.